Shatarine. Reading from Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, the status quo, chapter 11, calculation of time from the atom. We're doing 3 verses today. We'll do the first one all together. I'll read it through 3 times and then we'll do that one, then I'll read the others. Maitreya uvacha kritam treta dwaparam cha kalishcheti chaturyugam divyardvadashabir varshai savadanam nirupitam. Maitreya uvacha kritam treta dwaparam cha kalishcheti chaturyugam divyardvadashabir varshai Savadanam nirupitam. Maitreya uvacha kritam treta dwaparam cha kalishcheti chaturyugam divyardvadashabir varshai savadanam nirupitam. Everyone chant, please.
Maitreya uvacha kritam treta dvaparam cha kalishcheti chaturyugam divya dvadashabhir varshai savadhanam nirupitam.
Maitreya Uvacha Kritam Treta Dvaparam Cha Kalischete Chaturyugam Divyai Dvadasabhir Varshai Savadhanam Nirupitam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maitreya Uvacha Kritam Treta Dvaparam Cha Kalishcheti Chaturyugam Divyer Dvadashbir Varsahi Savadhanam Nirupitam. Hare Krishna.
Maitreya uvacha kritam treta dvaparam cha kalischeti chaturyugam divyai dvadashabhir varshai savadhanam nirupitam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Maitreya uvacha kritam treta dvaparam cha kalicheti chaturyugam divyai dvadasabhir varsai savadhanam nirupitam.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word translation. Maitreya uvacha, Maitreya said, Kritam, the age of Satya, Treta, the age of Treta, Dwaparam, the age of Dwapara, Cha, also, Kali, the age of Kali, Cha, and Iti, thus, Chatuyugam, 4 millenniums, Divyai, of the demigods, Dwadashabhi, 12, Varshai, thousands of years, Sa'avadanam, approximately, Nirupitam, ascertained. Translation. Maitreya said, O Vidura, the 4 millenniums are called the Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. The aggregate number of years of all of these combined is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The years of the demigods are equal to 360 years of humankind. As will be clarified in the subsequent verses, 12,000 of the demigods' years, including the transitional periods, which are called Yuga Sandhyas, comprise the total of the aforementioned 4 millenniums. Thus, the aggregate of the above-mentioned 4 millenniums is 4,320,000 years. Text 19. I'll just read through 19 and 20 myself. Chatvari trini dvechaikam kritadishu yatakramam sankyatani sahasrani dvigunani shatani cha. The duration of the Satya millennium equals 4,800 years of the years of the demigods. The duration of the Treta millennium equals 3,600 years of the demigods. The duration of the Dwapara millennium equals 2,400 years, and that of the Kali millennium is 1,200 years of the demigods. Purport. As aforementioned, 1 year of the demigods is equal to 360 years of the human beings. The duration of the Satya Yuga is therefore 4,800 times 360, or 1,728,000 years. The duration of the Treta Yuga is 3,600 times 360, or 1,296,000 years. The duration of the Dwapara Yuga is 2,400 times 360, or 864,000 years. And the last, the Kali Yuga, is 1,200 times 360, or 432,000 years. Text 20. Sandhya sadyam sayor antar ya kala shatta sankyayo tamevahur yugam tajgya yatra dharmo vidiyate. The transitional periods before and after every millennium, which are a few hundred years as aforementioned, are known as Yuga Sandhyas, or the conjunctions of 2 millenniums, according to the expert astronomers. In these periods, all kinds of religious activities are performed. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha, Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. I hope everyone's keeping cool up there in Philadelphia. Several devotees have in previous classes have expressed about the verse given class on the text of this chapter can be challenging or interesting, or sometimes, because they're talking about these very technical things, which it's good to know. I think we should know the different yugas and at least have some conception of how long they are. And we all know that we're roughly 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. So I read these 3 verses through several times until I found what I thought was a sort of thread to pull at that I thought we could might spark some discussion, some useful discussion, some useful analysis. But there's a lot here. As far as the technical, Prabhupada said, he repeats it in the 2 purports, basically the same thing, that the 4 yugas are there, and he gives the length of those yugas in Deva years, demigod years, and in human years. Which I won't repeat. We could learn that, or if we don't memorize exactly how many years it is, I think we could still progress pretty nicely in our devotional service. But we know that the idea that these 4 yugas are there, that Kriteya Dhyayato Vishnum Tretayam Yajato Makai, that the Satya Yuga is there, which is the longest of all. And with the longer lifespan and the much more qualified persons, and the Dharma for that age is rapt meditation with love, hopefully with love and devotion to Lord Vishnu. And Tretayam Yajatomakaya, and then in Treta Yuga, very beautiful, elaborate, and opulent sacrifices were performed again for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu to facilitate devotional service. That Bhagavad Gita describes how the real work, the real karma is yajna, sacrifice to Lord Vishnu. Dwapare Paricharyayam, in Dwapara Yuga, which is shorter, and also we'll hear in a couple of days, upcoming verses, how religious principles reduce with each succeeding yuga. But still, there's a religious principle for each one. Dwapara Yuga is Paricharyayam. That is generally translated as deity worship. Paricharya means worship, and it also means like just proper behavior, behaving in a proper way. So Dwapara Yuga is deity worship, and deity worship is based on being very punctual, being very clean, following all the rules and instructions and processes very clearly. So this is a broader understanding of paricharyayam. It means deity worship, but it also means like vidhi, following rules and regulations. Just like Prabhupada would talk, and I think he was referencing, quoting Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, how there's Bhagavad Vidhi and Pancharatriki Vidhi, the two rails of devotional service. Bhagavad Vidhi is hearing and chanting and loving Krishna, and Pancharatrika Vidhi is deity worship and following rules and regulations of behavior and cultivation very carefully. So Dwapara Yuga is the time of that, in one sense, of that Pancharatriki Vidhi. And then Kalo Tadhari Kirtanam, in Kali Yuga, when religion is reduced to such a degree, we're offered this amazing, powerful process of chanting the holy name, which will carry us through the disqualifications of Kali Yuga, the shortened lifespan, the lessened intelligence, the lessened self-control, the bewilderment, all of that. The chanting of the holy name will carry us through that. And that was given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the description of that, or just many descriptions of that, but in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the chapter, The External Reasons for Lord Chaitanya's Appearance, some of this is described. Krishnadas Kaviraj actually provides us with Lord Krishna's internal thought process or reasoning process leading up to his descent as Mahaprabhu. This is from Adi Leela, chapter 3, starting with text 28. And this is Krishna's thoughts within his mind. He says, "Therefore, in the company of my devotees, I shall appear on earth and perform various colorful pastimes." So, Nana Range, colorful pastimes. Nana means various, many. And Ranga is an interesting word. It means colorful. It means it means colorful. It means dramatic. Like a dramatic play is also Ranga. Ranga also means like a dancing arena, like a dancing stage for a dance performance. And Ranga also means a battlefield. So all of these words apply so perfectly to Lord Krishna's appearance, Lord Krishna's pastimes, that he appears on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he appears on the dancing field of the forests of Vrindavan for his Rasa Leela dance performance. And the color and variety and sweetness and attractiveness of his pastimes are at the topmost, highest level of perfection and intensity. So if the Lord is thinking within himself that I want to give the world Nanaranga, these colorful pastimes, Krishna comes in so many avatars and so many pastimes. But if you want the top most colorful pastimes, that means the pastimes of Lord Krishna. That means Lord Krishna is going to come himself, not in a avatar or expansion. Next verse. Thinking thus, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna himself, descended at Nadia early in the age of Kali. Now here's some interesting part. Let me read the Bengali. Eta bhavi Kali kale pratama sandhyaya avatirna haile Krishna apani nadiyaya. So we hear pratama sandhyayam. That means that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared during the Yuga Sandhya, which is being described in the last of today's verses. Let's go back to that again. The transitional periods before and after every millennium, which are a few hundred years as aforementioned, are known as Yuga Sandhyas, or the conjunction of two millenniums, according to the expert astronomers. In those periods, all kinds of religious activities are performed. Now, this is significant, I thought. That Mahaprabhu, he's coming during the Yuga Sandhya. And actually, Prabhupada explains in the commentary here that the Yuga Sandhya for Kali Yuga is actually 36,000 years. That means Mahaprabhu appeared during the Yuga Sandhya, and actually we're still living within the Yuga Sandhya of Kali Yuga, this transition period. The Yuga Sandhyas generally are, elsewhere Prabhupada describes, they're 1/12 of the length of the particular yuga. So a longer yuga will have a longer Yuga Sandhya. And the yugas, he also describes that the yugas in general, according to Surya Siddhanta, are divided into 12 portions, just like a day is divided into 12 hours can be compared. And the first of those is the Sandhya, the Yuga Sandhya, this transition. So what's the significance of this Yuga Sandhya, this transition? The transition of so many things, of everything, but let's talk about the yugas. It's not like, okay, on Monday, it's Dwapara Yuga. And then the next day, Tuesday, oh, okay, it's Kali Yuga. And that's it. That's not really how it works. It's not like stepping through a door one into the other. It's a gradual, more gradual transition from Kali Yuga. And that period of transition takes some time. And what's done during those times? Mahaprabhu gives his example that he came during that Yuga Sandhya to introduce the Yuga Dharma and to teach, not just introduce the Yuga Dharma, because any Yuga avatar can do that, but even more specifically to display and elucidate this Nanaranga, these colorful pastimes, so that people even in Kali Yuga, the worst time, can get knowledge of and aspire to this highest thing of Krishna's beautiful, sweet, colorful pastimes. So he specifically chose the Yuga Sandhya for that, because Sandhya, which we know this word Sandhya, it means transition. Just like there's Tri Sandhya, 3 transitions in the day, the transition in the morning from nighttime to daytime, the transition at noon from AM to PM, and the transition in the evening from daytime back to nighttime. So these transitions are there, and those are also gradual transitions, that the sun gradually rises and switches over from night to day like that. But these times, sandhyas can also be times of chaos or bewilderment. Just like think of in America, the Sandhya of every 4 years, there's an election, and the president and the political party and the leadership changes from one to another. And we've seen how chaotic those transitions can be. And in places without, democratic principles, that transition can be even worse, to the point of, total chaos, breakdown, bloodshed, etc. So transitions are like that. So to combat that, just like to combat the chaos of the transition from Dwapara to Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes at that specific time in order to ensure, and not for just that moment, but to ensure that the sanya is like one section of the beginning of something, but it's to ensure that the whole time period in sequence after that will be proper and orderly and nice. Just like if we get up and chant our Gayatri at sunrise, okay, we do it, 2 or 3 minutes, whatever it is at that time, and said, okay, chanted Gayatri, done. No, it's to set a mood, to set a situation or a paradigm or an environment for the whole rest of the day to continue like that. Therefore, in today's verse, Yatra Dharmo Vidyate, when there's a Yuga Sandhya, Yatra Dharmo Vidyate, Prabhupada translates, in those periods, all kinds of religious activities are performed. This word Vidyate is also interesting. Prabhupada says performed, but Vidyate, at least in its root, is more emphatic than that. Vidyate, it comes from the root vidi. We know vidi means rules and regulations, things that you must do. So the real sort of purportful understanding of it is that not only religious activities are performed, but they're enjoined. They must be performed at that time. And for that reason, to smooth the transition from one stage to another and ensure that things go on properly in the time after. So religious activities in general are enjoined during Sandhya, and specifically in Kali Yuga, Mahaprabhu came to give the topmost Dharma, Yatra Dharma Vidyate, to introduce the topmost Dharma for the sake of Kali Yuga. Because again, transitions can be hard, they can be difficult. Let's see. Just like I think it was last time I gave class, we talked about the different kinds of destruction. What was it? Now I can't even remember, the 8 or 9 stages of creation and the 3 stages of destruction. And the ultimate destruction, or one of those destructions or pralaya, is nitya pralaya, which means that every single moment things are being destroyed, things are being broken down. This time factor and the cycle of creation and destruction is another aspect of this sandhya. When something is torn down, that's a sandhya to something else happening. And when something is built up, that's a sandhya or a junction to something else happening. So we have big, big sandhyas, like we were hearing about the creation of the entire, the universe is coming out of the body of Mahavishnu. That's a kind of sandhya. That's a transition from a state of total non-manifestation to manifestation. And then the different elements are coming. That's another sandhya, and the senses and the demigods, and then the different species and planets. These are all sandhyas or changes that are going on. And therefore, Lord Brahma had to spend so much time meditating before he could do that, because Yatra Dharma Vidyate, when there's this sandhya, you have to make sure, for any individual going through this sandhya, we have to make sure that our head is screwed on straight. And we do that through religious activities, through meditation, and specifically through Krishna consciousnness, to ensure that the sandhya goes smoothly and goes properly. And then there's smaller sandhyas. There's like the Yuga sandhyas we're hearing about today. That's smaller than the sandhya, or the transition from everything within the body of Mahavishnu to the universes manifesting outside the body of Mahavishnu. That's a big transition. Little smaller transition is the Yuga sandhyas. And then in this life also, there's so many sandhyas. Taking birth is a sandhya. Dying is a sandhya. And in between, we have all of these things: taking birth, and then a child takes its first food, and a child begins his education. He receives diksha. He or she receives diksha, gets married, has children themselves, then later in life they renounce that, and then finally at the time of death is another sandhya. So all of these sandhyas are there, and therefore there's this system of samskaras that Prabhupada, that the Vedic literature and Vedic tradition has, and Prabhupada taught us that we don't just, okay, married, husband and wife shack up together, that's it. No, there's a ceremony. There's dharma, yatra dharmo vidyate, that religious activities are enjoined for that transition in order to make sure that that transition goes smoothly and goes on in a progressive way for the spiritual upliftment of everyone involved, from birth up to the time of death. And Prabhupada would pretty regularly talk about these samskaras and how that these samskaras differentiate us from the animal species who just eat, sleep, mate, and defend with no regulation at all. But these samskaras are there to keep us behaving properly and to keep us on a progressive and devotional path. So these are also sandhyas or transitions. From being in the womb to out of the womb is a huge transition. So it's important for the child and for society that that transition is recognized and celebrated and accompanied by the performance of Krishna consciousness. And all of our, of course, there's rituals for different things. I don't even know them. You crack a coconut, you do an arti, whatever, you do a fire sacrifice, whatever things are done. But the real essence of these samskaras is to accompany them by Krishna consciousness. And specifically, a samskara means really that devotees come together and they chant in ecstasy and they offer and honor prasad, and maybe there's some katha, some discussion. So this is the samskara, aside from the ritualistic or technical aspects of the samskara, because all of these sandhyas are there. And then even in the course of a single day, as I mentioned earlier, there's a Trisandhya. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadan nagati kutobi. Jayams tuvams tasya yasas Trisandhyam. Bande Guru Shicharanaravinam. So every day we have Sandhya, and bare minimum, those sandhyas are accompanied by chanting of Gayatri, which is itself a yatra dharma vidyate, an enjoined religious function, in order to make sure those sandhyas are smooth and to keep us through the sandhyas and the time, and importantly, the time in between them, to keep us focused on Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he spoke about this in one lecture. I'll read a little bit of this. This is a Kartik lecture from 1931. He said, when we are impelled to enjoy our senses, like the tongue, hands, legs, arms, and genitals, we are enchanted and then deceived. It is therefore imperative upon us to remember Srila Guru Pada Padma, the lotus feet of the spiritual master, at the beginning of each year, each month, each day, and at every moment, for he can protect us from all such deception. The very instant I deviate from or forget the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, who is continuously attracting me to his lotus feet, at that very moment, I am unquestionably deprived of the truth. Upon such deviation, I become engrossed in contemplating countless scarcities. I hurry to bathe in a holy place, and I become busy protecting myself from the cold. In this way, I chase after activities other than service to Srila Gurudev. My Gurudev constantly protects me from Dvitiya Binivesha, the conception of material duality, becoming absorbed in activities separate from the interest of Bhagavan. If I do not remember my Gurudev at the beginning of each year, each month, each day, and at every moment, I will surely fall further away from the path of bhakti. Consequently, I myself will wish to be recognized as guru, and the sinister contemplation of how others will worship me will invade my mind. So therefore, often we see in translations of the Gurvashtakam verse, Jayam Stuvam Tasya Yasas Trisanyam, it's often translated, although that's maybe not literally what it says, is that at least 3 times a day. Because the 3 times a day of Trisanyam are a token of the constant sandhyas that we have going on. Every moment is a sandhya, is a junction between the past and our present moment of an instant is a sandhya between the past and the future. And if we don't respect that sandhya, and if we don't yatra dharma vidyate, if we don't make it a religious function, a Krishna conscious function, then we're going to get sidetracked. Just like Bhaktisiddhanta says, every year, that's one sandhya, New Year's, Happy New Year, right? And New Year's resolutions and all those things. That's a sandhya. And he says every year, every month, every day, every moment. Last week, Her Grace Archana Bhakti made a nice point I like very much in her class. She was talking about the passage of time, and she was describing how time is like a number line. If you can imagine a number line in your head that starts at 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, goes down. But in between 0 and 1, there's also a point of 1/2. And in between 0 and 1/2, there's also a point, a quarter. And between 0 and a quarter, there's an eighth. So time is actually infinitely divisible into the sequence of unlimited individual points. So Sandhya is like that. We have a Sandhya of the creation of the universe, between the yugas, between the years, and between the days, and between the 3 times of day. And we could break it down infinitely like that until we can understand that every moment is a Sandhya, is a transition. And therefore, when we respect that and make every moment 3 times a day is not enough. It's enjoined. Yes, you chant Gayatri 3 times a day, but that's not enough. Every moment has to be engaged in Krishna consciousness, because every moment is this transition. And if we don't take that every moment opportunity of Krishna consciousness, then we're not going to progress at every moment. We may be sidetracked or even digress from moment to moment if we don't respect that. Therefore, this is the instruction, yatra dharma vidyate. These times of transition, the big notable times of transition, like birth, death, marriage, renunciation, schooling, all these things, and the daily transition, and the moment by moment infinite number of transitions are there, and they need to all be suffused with Krishna consciousness. Again, I said earlier, Sandhya can be a time of chaos or a time of bewilderment. But when we handle it properly, it's the greatest asset, because this is every moment. Prabhupada said every moment is, he was actually talking about New Year's, and he said in Krishna consciousness, our every day, our every moment is a new year, ever fresh. And that's why, because we take these moments, every moment is an opportunity to serve Krishna, to remember Krishna, to yatra dharma vidyate, to suffuse that moment with Krishna consciousness. And in that way, we'll advance. Let's see. And there's another, aside from this kind of analysis, there's another way of saying this. And that is, smartavya satadam vishnur, vismartavyo najatu chit. Sarva vidi naseda syor etayor eva kinkara. This is the conclusion or the summary of understanding that every moment is a transition and an opportunity for us to advance more and more. And that is smartavya satatam vishnur. At every moment, remember Krishna. Vismartavya najatu chit. And at every moment, ensure that you do not forget Krishna. Sarva vidi naseda syor. And there are so many rules and regulations, so much vidi and rules of behavior, just like we heard the rules of behavior in Dwapara Yuga and in our own devotional service, especially those of us who are still struggling on the path of Vaidhi Marg, Vaidhi Bhakti, to follow the rules and regulations nicely. Sarva vidi naseda syor. all of these rules and regulations, Etayor Eva Kinkara, they're the maid servants of this one principle of always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So I thought that was one thing we could analyze and maybe learn something from about this process of Sandhya, because otherwise just understanding this many years, that many years is interesting and worth knowing, but also, like everything, needs to be, and especially this whole chapter, calculation of time from the atom. Uh, it's just physics if it's not understood and applied in the context of actually advancing in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much, everybody, for your very kind attention. Let's see if there's any questions, comments, or discussion. We can do that now.
Acharya Prabhu, Hare Krishna, please explain the business.
Hare Krishna, please accept mine.
Yeah, I joined a little late, but I heard that you mentioned about sandhyas.
Yes.
Sandhyas could be chaos. Can you please explain why the sandhyas could be chaos?
Sandhya can be what?
You say sandhya can be chaotic situation, very chaos.
Chaotic, yes. Because
Yeah.
anytime there's a change,
Mm.
anytime there's a change, we can expect that there's going to be some disturbance. Like I gave the example at every 4 years, the election of a new government in America is a time of chaos. Or even a small thing like waking up in the morning. We wake up in the morning and, oh my God, I'm tired. What am I going to do? My plans for the day. It's a time of chaos. So the practice of Krishna consciousness at those particular times is specifically designed or specifically mentioned in this verse to smooth that process of chaos, to keep it from being chaotic. Or just like the transition from Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga. There was so much chaos because the whole population was going to hell, so much chaos that all of the sages at Naimisharanya said, what are we going to do? So they held their big 100-year sacrifice, and they were unsuccessful actually at holding back the chaos until Sutta Goswami came and spoke. So that's what I mean, that is chaotic. Anytime there's a change, there's a chance for chaos or bewilderment or some kind of disturbance if it's not handled properly. Getting a new job, going to a new school, young people who in their youth maybe moved to a new location or a new school can understand the stress of leaving your previous friends and school and everything behind and coming to a new one. So these are small examples, but the transition of yugas is a big example. Does that help at all?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So, sandhyas are definitely a change and can create a chaotic situation for everybody, looks like. Okay.
Right.
And then the three sandhyas, we have it.
Right.
Those also, morning you mentioned, you think it's naturally it is noon and evening is a chaotic situation. People are driving. That's why I don't know, evening, what is because of the change is chaotic situation?
It's not grossly chaotic, but it's a transition. So because it's a transition, it's a chance for us to behave in a way that will keep us on the proper spiritual track. It's not that, every day when the sun rises up, the whole world falls apart and goes to hell. It's not quite that gross, but still it's a transition. And because of that, big transitions, we can expect bigger chaos, and smaller transitions may not be so chaotic, but it's still an opportunity for us where if we don't take that opportunity, we can get sidetracked. And if we take the opportunity, we can keep ourselves on the proper devotional path.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's good to understand material point of view. I was reading Mahanidhi Swami Maharaj, the Gayatri Mahima. So that mentions that in Sandhyas, the Gayatri Devi appears. And that's why we offer prayers. So can we understand the sandhyas apart from having a chaotic situation for materialistic life, and there's a spiritual opportunity also? I'm just, I'm.
Absolutely. That's the essential part of it, is that it's providing a spiritual opportunity. That's the essence of the opportunity of Sanya. Because Sanya is not just chaos or degradation, but it's an opportunity for us, a reminder to us that when the new year comes, when the new week comes, when the new day and the new morning comes, we're not like pulling our hair out, oh, the world's falling apart. What we're saying, yes, this is an opportunity for me to remember and serve and connect with Krishna more.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. But in general, the morning Sandhya is more goodness and people feel happy, quiet, and peaceful. Generally, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
But I
sure.
don't know. I know there are a lot of activities we have to do. That may be chaotic situation you're mentioning too. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's there also.
Yeah. Hare
Absolutely.
Krishna. Yeah.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank
Anything else? Question or comment? Vishnu Gada Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Acharya Prabhu. So we were talking about the Pratama Sandhya when Lord Chaitanya appears, the beginning of the transition into Kali Yuga. And then
Yes.
there's a mention of the Shesha Sandhya.
Right.
Shesha Sandhya, yeah. So did Lord Krishna appear during the Shesha Sandhya of Dvapar Yuga?
Mathematically speaking, I would say yes, because he was in the last. I've heard different dates for the. Some say Kali Yuga started with the deceptions at Kurukshetra, or at different times. But yeah, that would make sense that was in the Shesha Sandhya, or in today's verse, it's called Sanyamsha, I think, the final segment there. So yeah, that was also Krishna appeared at that particular time. I don't know if that's typical of Yuga avatars in general, but yeah, that he appeared also in that final stage. And Prabhupada also said that the yugas are divided into 12 segments. So Krishna appeared at the end of Dwapar Yuga, and Mahaprabhu appeared at the beginning of Kali Yuga.
So they have a great opportunity. Krishna, then Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah.
We don't get it together now.
Yeah, right. It's really, and that's also been described about how although the Kali Yuga is so bad, but how amazing it is that Krishna just appeared and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just appeared. What a confluence of auspiciousness is unmatched. So much so that it said even the demigods, even the heavenly planets who have their long lives, and 1 year for them is 360 for us, but they want to take birth in Kali Yuga to take advantage of this opportunity. It's a sandhya so momentous and so auspicious that they feel they can't properly access it in the heavenly planets. They want to come here for it.
There's also mentioned in the verse of the years of the demigods.
Yes.
And I mean, there's different demigods.
Right.
So we talk about, Prabhupada says elsewhere that there's, Bhu, Bhuva, Svargalok, with Maharloka, Janaloka. So these demigods, this demigod years are from where? Svargalok, this we're talking?
That was my understanding. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That Swargalok in general. And then there's Lord Brahma's time, which is its own thing.
Yeah.
But that was my understanding that you could say the ordinary demigods, like the demigods we think of, like Indra and Varuna and Agni and all these, that their time is like that. How subdivided that time scale is moving up the universe, I don't know. But yeah, that was my understanding. That's just
Yeah.
like the demigods that we normally think of as demigods. That's their time scale.
So yeah, there's what Srila Prabhupada mentioned, like on Bhuvarloka, the movement of the moon So 1 month in Bhuvarloka is their day.
Ah,
And in Svargaloka, one of our years is their day, the movement of the sun up, back and
oh,
forth.
okay.
So that would make the 360 years is our 1 year. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But then it goes further. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how it's divided or even if it's given. But maybe we could assume that there's some degree of, subdivision along the way. Or maybe I'm speculating and just being really humorous here. It's just like, how there's time zones,
Yes.
the different time zones of the around the earth. But sometimes the time zones, they don't divide it with a straight line. Sometimes they have a line that goes like this to divide the time zones, just so things can happen smoothly, smoothly within a state or within a city or something like that. So maybe the demigods are like sort of compromising. Okay, we'll go with the 360 years as 1 year.
Yeah.
I'm just being humorous
Yeah,
here.
it's good.
Take
It's
that
good.
seriously.
And just one other comment is that, this is a shockingly, the years, durations, and the unlimitedly long periods of time is quite at contrast to the accepted ideas of civilization, of man, of the existence of, the earth that's accepted in modern scientific realms. There's going to be, this human beings are going on for millions of years. That's
Right.
quite a difference.
Yeah.
Even in the Greek or the Roman times, they were thinking that, well, things have been around for a few thousand years, but it's an incredibly long period of time.
Yeah, inconceivable amounts of time to us.
Yeah.
Inconceivable, but measurable, or what's the word? Calculable.
Yes.
But way outside of the scale that we're accustomed to.
Yeah.
And that's good. What like the Bhagavatam is giving us, like all these discussions of creation and are there so we understand this scale and that our time scale is not the all in all. That's also an important thing we can learn from this, that our time scale is not everything in the universe, that there's all sorts of different time scales and space scales and volume scales that the universe is arranged by to keep us from becoming a little too egocentric or earth-centric, or what's the word, anthropocentric, like that, to give us a broader view. Thank you very much. Any other question or comment? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for your very kind attention. I appreciate your presence here. I hope everyone's staying cool in Philadelphia, and everyone have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Titanam Pavanebhyo.
Vaishnavibhyo namo namah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Great class.
Thank you. All glories to Sri
Nice
Prabhupada.
informative class.